So we just want you to know that once you understand these laws of the universe, that once you understand what your emotions mean, once you understand that your emotions are your indicator of your proximity to this vortex of creation that is really you, it is our expectation that you are going to become someone who so wants to be in the vortex that you are willing to let go of all that nitpicking out of the vortex conversation that just wastes time, really. You never sort anything out. Did you know that 100% of politics is outside the vortex? In other words, they're doing good work in the sense that they're doing step one work. In other words, step one, contrast helps you to ask. That's step one. Step two is source takes that rocket of desire and runs with it and holds it and becomes it and beams it steadily. And step three is you catch a whiff of the beam and move yourself into vibrational alignment with it. In other words, everything is about your proximity to your vortex. So sometimes people talk about faith. They have faith that something that they haven't seen happen will happen. And we say the true definition of faith is the understanding of the laws of the universe, understanding that your source stands in complete compliance and becoming of the expanded version of you. And when you understand the reality of that, and you pay attention to the way you feel, you can trust that anything that you want will be. Then it's just a matter of discipline. Then it's just a matter of directing your mind. Esther got on a sort of rampage where she was basking her way to sleep every night and then awakening in the morning and coming back into basking and appreciating and then moving right into some focus wheels, which we'll talk about here today, which cleaned up some random screwy vibration. And then she'd go into a list of positive aspects and off into a rampage of appreciation. And she was just tuning herself into the vortex deliberately, getting into the vortex, which simply means releasing any thought that would hold her out. That's all that being in the vortex means. It's cleaning up your vibration, ridding yourself of resistant thought that holds you out of the vortex. And then she began to notice that life from inside the vortex. First she began to say to Jerry, I had no idea how often I was not in the vortex until I got in and really felt what it feels like. From inside the vortex, there is a clarity and a feeling of well-being. It's like being soothed. It's like knowing the all is wellness. It makes things that have loomed large seem nitpicking and unimportant, while the well-being is what radiates. And so, as they find themselves, by deliberate focus, more and more often inside the vortex, then the universe can play the game of cooperative components from inside the vortex. In other words, imagine being vibrationally inside your vortex and therefore emotionally soaring with fun and frisky and thrill and love, and moving around your physical planet under those conditions. Do you have any idea how many cooperative components there are moving through your freeways, moving on your highways, moving around you at all times, who are also in the vortex, that when you are in the vortex and they rendezvous with you, the sublime interaction, the successful interaction, the profitable interaction, the well-being interaction. In other words, you just want to get in the vortex. We know you do. You may not know it in the way that we know it, but once you get in there and feel the fullness of your life just a little bit, you're never going to be satisfied not being deliberately and consciously inside the vortex again. As Jerry and Esther were driving down from Oregon, they're driving down the freeway and they're approaching the city of San Francisco, and the traffic is beginning to slow. And Jerry and Esther, it is the most beautiful day, and Esther has been trying to take pictures while she's driving because she did not want to bother Jerry. But then she realized that he really should wake up from his nap and see what she was seeing, because it was so beautiful. And so now Jerry is beginning to take pictures, and Esther is still taking pictures because she likes to take pictures while she is driving. And the traffic is moving very slowly, and suddenly they realize that there is a car moving very slowly alongside of them, and there is a camera right up, and he is taking a picture. And then the car moved in front, and he is taking another picture. And Esther said, he must know us. And so Esther smiled in the windshield for him, wanting to be the cooperative component that she is. In other words, all of this fun. And then the man turned his profile to them while he is driving, and he's going this way with his nose. And Jerry says, I think he wants us to put on our clown noses. And so they did. They put on their clown noses and got their faces up to the window. And Esther said, there is something so delicious about being in the vortex. You have to be in there to know. You have to be in there to feel. In other words, the universe is so good at the coordination of things, the arrangement of things, the cooperative components of things. The fact that the traffic was moving so slow. They played with this man. He had an official vehicle too. He had a whirligig on the top where he could actually slow traffic if he wanted to. And every thought that has ever been thought still exists. But the only thing that is pertinent to you in any point in time is the thought that's active within you and its relationship to the thought that who you really are is thinking. So, law of attraction is gathering all cooperative components. So, those thoughts, it's a better analogy than you were able to hear. When a radio station is broadcasting a signal, it's irrelevant to you unless you set your tuner for the same frequency. So all these thoughts that have been thought out here in your physical leading edge, and just for sake of clarification, let's call them negative thoughts for a moment. All those negative thoughts that have been thought are out there swirling around, and law of attraction is causing a gathering or a coalescing of them into streams or rivers. But unless you get on the frequency of them, they are irrelevant to you. They cannot touch you. You won't have exposure or experience with them, you see. We said in the early part of the year, and Esther overheard it because she was editing the recordings from that series. We said the sequence of processes that we would apply if we were standing in your physical shoes and we're asking the question that you're asking is, we would go to our bed when we're ready to finish the day, and we would bring our world in, and we would focus upon something as simple as the feel of the fabric of the bedding that surrounded us and the feel of the pillow. We would focus upon the texture of the air. We would focus upon the things that are up close to us and only the things that are up close to us. And in that attitude of drawing inward with an intention to feel it and appreciate it, we would drift off to sleep. So Esther began doing that and began feeling the deliciousness of true aligned sleep. Then the next process, we said, when you awaken in the morning, if you go to sleep in the vortex, you wake up in the vortex. So if you've done your work when you go to sleep, when you wake up in the morning, wake up and acknowledge how good you feel. Focus again back on the things that are surrounding you that you are feeling comfort about, and then let your appreciation reach outward a bit. And as your appreciation expands outward a bit, you run the risk of getting out of the vortex, because the further out you reach, the more possibility of running into things that bother you. But still, try to hold yourself in that state of appreciation for as long as you can. And in the moment that you have your first uncomfortable thought, get your feet on the floor and get out of bed. It was not your non-physical intention to come into the physical experience and live most of it outside the vortex. Your intention was to live most of it inside the vortex with an occasional excursion outside just to put more good stuff in, you see. So, we want you in the vortex, we want you in the vortex, we want you in the vortex, we want you in the vortex. And we see no excuse for any of you, now that you know what you know, not to be in the vortex. In other words, there's no reason to not be in the vortex. We just want you to know that once you get in there and you stabilize in there and you find the feeling place of it and you remind yourself of who you really are and what it feels like to be in the vortex, we'll never have to have this conversation again. Esther heard the words, she heard the words, she heard the words, she heard the words, she heard the words. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. She's been listening to us for years. Have you seen how many ways we've stood on her head in order to explain to you? It's downstream, it's upstream, it's alignment, it's desire, it's belief, it's a vortex. In other words, there's no end to what we're willing to say to you in order to help you. But it isn't until you actually do the things and you actually feel the difference of being one day, almost all day in the vortex. We don't have to have any conversations with Esther ever again about the alignment of her being. She felt it, she's lived it, she wants it, she knows it's normal. Anything less than that is not acceptable. And now we want to say to you, that's what's been going on with you for a long time. The reason that it feels so dramatic to you is because you have at very deep levels of your being conscious awareness of what it feels like to be in the vortex, and being out of the vortex is just no longer acceptable. And that's the way we want it to be for all of you. You don't have to move away from anything or anyone to be in the vortex. You just have to understand that it is there. Do you? Do you believe the vortex is a reality that is there? Do you believe that it's accessible to you, by you? Do you understand that it's just a vibration away? Esther didn't get it either until recently, the momentum that could be built. She wants to get a toehold of something, just something, and then milk it and milk it and milk it and milk it and milk it until now she knows so unequivocally what it feels like to be in that vortex that nothing else is tolerable. She said to Jerry, I'm in the vortex and I'm never coming out. And then she said, don't make me come out. And out she went. But it doesn't matter, because when you're out, when you've been in, you know you can get right back in. In other words, we want to make this vibrational reality so real to you that you stop giving any conversation to not being in there. Sure, a lot of you aren't in there. So what? Get in. But Abraham, I'm not in for it. So what? Get in. But you don't understand. So what? Get in. Get in. Get in. Get in. Get in. No more excuses. Get in. Get in. Okay. We have enjoyed this interaction immensely. We can feel that we have convinced you of the existence of your vibrational reality. And we've done our best today to help you to feel the importance of your vibrational reality so that it may supersede your former feeling of importance of your reality. In other words, we think that it has been a pretty convincing conversation that your vibrational reality exists, and that as you turn your attention in the direction of it, you will come into the completion of who you are, which will give you the immediate benefit of feeling good. And then you have the exhilarating experience of now watching manifestations take form around it. We want you to have all of the things that you want. We want the material aspects of your life to frame up for you. We want you to have the money and the cars and the relationships and all of the physical state of beings. We want all of that stuff for you that you call the physical reflections or manifestations of your time-space reality. We want that for you. But more than that, we want for you to experience the sublime, delicious, intoxicating, addictive feeling of coming into full concert with who you are as you then watch all of those material things manifest around you. We're not for a moment trying to talk you out of the manifestation of the stuff you want. We just want to convince you that what you really want is to fill that emptiness by filling you up with the wholeness of who you are. We want you to feel the vibrational energy of the whole of that which you are. We want you to, as contrast has caused you to put this expanded version of you into this vibrational reality, we want you to understand that it is only in the allowing yourself the vibrational resonance with that expanded version of you that you will ever find satisfaction or contentment. It's not about the stuff you bring, it's about the alignment you achieve, you see. So once the alignment is achieved, as so many of you are doing all day, every day, then the stuff must follow.